Pues muchas gracias. If there's no matter any problem, I'm going to present in English. This is my project of thesis, which is a regional analysis of temporal trends and horizon scanning of commercial alien species, and is directed by Bayon. First of all, I'm going to present you background about this topic. As all you know, one of the definitions of Anthropocene is defined by the erosion of the biogeographical barriers, despite by the transport of species from one region to another, and this is the cause of the biological invasions. And those biological invasions are one of the most important threats to biodiversity, and also it's a threat to socio-economic activities. Indeed. For example, the costs of the control measures for this species, and also damages for infrastructures or even human health. And it's a fact that the number of invasive species is increasing continuously all around the world, and of course in Europe and in Spain. So it's very important to improve early warning systems, because this increases the efficiency of the control measures, and also can prevent the invasion if we do it well. In fact, the commercial use in which we can act quite good is one of the main deliberate transport pathway for alien species, so one of the main for invasions. With this main frame, I'm going to present my index in my 3 chapters in my project, and I'm going to focus on the first one, the horizon scanning and risk analysis of the invasion of outdoor plants that are available in commerce in Spain. The second chapter is the historical, functional, and phylogenetical analysis of trending of woody plants in urban parks, also in Spain. And, well, the third will be the historical analysis of fashions of pet species, the hunting species, and sport fishing species, based on the popular journals that we can buy anywhere. As I said, I'm going to focus in the first chapter because the main work that we have done is based on this chapter. As introduction, to mention that there is a legislation that it's very important to include in this legislation the future, the potential invasive species, not just the species that are already invasive, but also the potential invasive, because this may use for prevention. And for this prediction of potentiality, we have a tool which is called horizon scanning, which is the systematic and scientific examination of the threats and future potential threats based on the characteristics of the species and also of the environment. So in this chapter, I'm going to present 3 objectives in the way of 3 lists. First objective is to obtain a priority list. We call the priority list this list that includes all the species that are invasive and are regulated as invasive by legislation, but are already in commerce in Spain. Ideally, this list will be empty. The second list is as we call the shadow list, which includes all the invasive but not regulated species and all the potential invasive species that has high potential impact in environment or in socio-economic activities. And in the third way, we will obtain a white list, including those species that are not potentially invasive as far as we know, so it could be safe for commerce. For make these lists, first of all, we need to compile a database with the vast majority of outdoor gardening plants available in commerce in Spain. We exclude the strictly indoor plants because we consider that an indoor plant could not survive outdoor. And for this compilation, we have searched 21 nurseries, distributors in Spain. But as we know, as we can see, in further than the number 15, the number of new taxa in the database has not grown. We have 136 taxa, but not all taxa are truly species. There are hybrids, there are supra-specific taxa like genus. So we have not enough information in the databases for this non-specific taxa. So we exclude that taxa from this study. From those species, those true species, we catalog them into native or alien. And those alien species, we classify them in 5 clean groups. Whether they are not sighted in the wild, they appear in the wild casually or escaped but not grows naturally, they are naturalized or established, or they are invasive. And in case of invasive species, those that are regulated or not, based on Sancelorsa work from Atlas of alloctone plants in Spain. Those invasive and regulated species will be included into the priority list, as I said. Ideally, this list will be empty. And those not in the wild species, we will make the horizon scanning. This scan will be done in 2 steps, just 2 steps, because of the huge volume of the species don't allow to us make further analysis. First step is the climatic suitability of the plant, and the second is if their plant are invasive elsewhere or not. Those plants that are not climatic suitability in Spain and that are not registered as invasive elsewhere, we included them into the white list. And those species that are climatic suitability and that are invasive elsewhere, we consider them as potential invasive species, and we will make the potential impact analysis. This way of horizon scanning has been repeated in casual and, of course, jumping the step of climatic suitability, also in established and naturalized. And this impact analysis has been done also in invasive, not regulated. But in this presentation, I will focus on the not in the wild species because it's the most relevant results that we found. The climatic suitability, we consider 2 factors based on the low temperatures, in the tolerance to the low temperatures. First of all, if the plants are tolerant to less than 0.2 Celsius of absolute minimum temperature, which is the highest absolute minimum temperature historically in Spain, which is in Almería. And also the tolerance to less than 10.8 of minimum temperature in the coldest month, which is the highest minimum temperature in the coldest month in Tarifa. As we don't have all the data of tolerance for all the plants, we will include a confidence in likelihood of climatic suitability according to the volume of data that we have. According to the potential impact analysis, we will do it in following 2 criteria. First, the criteria of impacts on environment, which includes impacts on native species such as competition, hybridization, disease transmission, parasitism, and so on, and impacts on ecosystem like nutrient cycling or modification of the structure of the habitat and so on. In the other hand, we have the socio-economic impacts, including impacts on infrastructure, on uses of the soil, such as agriculture, forestal use, on human health, including the allergogenicity of the pollen, and other kind of impacts. So these 2 groups of impacts, well, the subcategories are just positive or negative. No, we don't, just yes or no. And according to the number of impacts that the plant presents, we classified it into 4 groups in each criteria, which is not reported impacts, few numbers of impact, medium number of impacts, or many impacts. Those species that have many impacts or medium number of impacts in each criteria, we included into the shadow list. So here are the results. From all the 1,036 taxa that we found, 919 are truly species, and from them, 737 are alien species. Those alien species, 447, we don't know what's the nature in this context. But from the rest, 219, we found that 76 are not sighted in the wild, 107 appears casually or escaped, 77 are established or naturalized, and 30 species are invasive, in which 8 of them are regulated as invasive species. So from those 66 not in the wild species, 10 of them has no climatic suitability here in Spain. 15 of them are climatic suitability, but they are not invasive elsewhere, not registered as invasive elsewhere. And 20 of them are invasive elsewhere and climatic suitability here. So there are 20 species that are potentially invasive. These 20 species, one of them has a high number of impact, a very number of impacts in environment, and another one has very number of socio-economic impact. It's important to see that 10 species, the half of a species, has a medium number of impacts in environment, which is something to take account. According to the lists that we want to find, here is the priority list. These 8 species that are regulated as invasive in Spain and are already in commerce. These 8 species are the worst new in this context. This is the shadow list for not in the wild. As I explained before, I have another shadow list from invasive, not regulated, established, and casual species. This is for not in the wild. And it's 11 species, and it's important to remark the Alamanda cathartica and Nympheodorata, because they have a high number of impacts, each one in each category. According to the white list, we found 6 species, and as you can see, one of them, Seneca limbosa, appears casually. This is because it's one of those species that appears casually, but are not tolerant to climate, so they cannot breathe naturally. These are the 6 species of the white list. Especially Averroa carambola, we have high level of confidence that they are not climatic suitability. In conclusion, in this context, we find that the priority list includes 8 species, and we think that the authorities must take in count this and must correct this as soon as possible. The shadow list includes a total of 65 species, in which 15 of them are already invasive and the rest are potentially invasive, and all of them have high number of impacts or medium number of impacts in environment or in socio-economic activities, and we consider that those 65 species must be considered as a deeper risk analysis object. And we consider that the 6 species present in the white list are safe for commerce and can use as alternative to sellers for the invasive species that are forbidden. Finally, for ending this presentation, I want to present very summarily the second chapter, in which we are starting to work right now, and we have planted 3 questions in this context, which are is there any historical use of woody plants in urban parks in Spain according to 3 criteria: morphology, phylogeny, and procedence. In this moment, we have catalogued a total of 29 urban parks in Spain, most of them from the 19th and 20th century. So, thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you to my director, my family, and my friends, and thank you all for coming. Thank you very much.